Ever, like, grab some popcorn, ready to watch a train wreck, slow motion and all that. When instead of a train, it's like some huge company, the kind you think would be around forever. Well, that's kind of what we're doing today, diving into some, epic business fails. Not just for the drama, but to really see what went wrong and how, anyone can learn from these things.
Yeah, it's like a business autopsy, right?
Exactly.
But instead of, a body, we're dissecting decisions, market forces, all that. It's fascinating stuff, even a bit morbid maybe. But trust me, the insights, they can be really useful no matter what your business is or even just your career, right?
Okay, so let's jump right in. First up, 2 words. Kodak. Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
Think back for a sec. Kodak, everyone knew them, capturing memories, all that. And Blockbuster, Friday night ritual, right? Rows and rows of VHS tapes that smell of popcorn.
Both giants, totally. In their own ways, of course. And both, they fell victim to what's called the innovator's dilemma. Kind of tragic thing, almost. When being good at what you do, really good, can actually make you miss the next big thing.
So it's not just resting on your laurels. It's like those laurels become blinders.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Take Kodak, for example. They actually invented the digital camera.
Wait, really?
Yeah, back in 1975. Let that sink in for a second. 1975. Talk about a head start. But they were so focused on film, their empire, that they basically, stifled their own invention.
Wow. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot.
Right.
Afraid to hurt their profits, but by holding onto the old way, they missed owning the new way.
And that's the lesson right there. Sometimes you got to be willing to, cannibalize your own business to stay ahead. Don't be afraid to disrupt yourself before someone else does it to you.
Now, Blockbuster, come on, streaming, it was inevitable, right? We all see that now.
Yeah.
But back then...
Hindsight, right. It's always 2020. But here's the real kicker. Blockbuster, they had the chance to buy Netflix. Back in 2000.
Seriously?
Yep. For $50 million.
Or kidding. That's like, what, pocket change for them back then, right?
Pretty much. But they saw those DVDs by mail as a fad, a blip, And they were so deep into their stores, those physical buildings, they couldn't see the shift to digital. Not really.
It really makes you think, what does adaptability truly mean? These weren't small companies, hesitant or anything. They were giants.
Yeah.
And they messed up that badly.
Mm-hmm.
What's that say for the rest of us?
It's a warning, for sure. But it's also a reminder. Agility, that's key in anything, any business. Always got to be asking yourself, what if my business, like the core of it, what if that's about to be, obsolete, over? And be ready to adapt, even if it means, like, shaking things up big time.
Speaking of shaking things up, our next one takes us from, renting VHS tapes to Silicon Valley. Yeah. High stakes. And it's a wild story.
This one makes you scratch your head a bit. Theranos. You remember all the headlines? Ambition, technology, and in the end, deception.
Okay, Theranos. This was the company that was going to revolutionize blood testing.
Yeah, make it faster, cheaper, less painful.
I remember thinking that, too good to be true,
And that's often, it's a red flag, often, right?
Yeah.
But Elizabeth Holmes, the founder, she was persuasive. She had that Steve Jobs thing going on, black turtlenecks, talking about changing the world. Investors, they ate it up.
Yeah, buying into the promise, the technology, right? Few drops of blood, tons of tests, results, boom, like that.
That was the pitch. But here's where it gets, interesting. They were like a black box, Theranos, wouldn't share how it worked, not with experts anyway. Said it was a trade secret. And for a while, that just made them seem more, mysterious, I guess.
So masters of hype, but how long can you keep that going, really?
Yeah, not forever. Turns out, when the Wall Street Journal, they started digging, looking into the claims, cracks started showing. And what they found,
the tech. It didn't really work, did it?
Not like they said it did. Those machines couldn't do all those tests, and the results, often, unreliable. Basically, it was bait and switch, using the old ways of testing, but promising this revolution that, wasn't real.
And this was a company worth, billions? That's a serious reminder. Even if you do all the research, you can still get fooled.
Yeah.
Makes you think, how can you, the average person investing, how do you protect yourself from that?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It's about, being critical. Asking the tough questions. Don't be afraid to walk away if something feels wrong.
Hey.
With Theranos, those red flags, they were there. The secrecy, the lack of, outside proof.
And the hype, right? Don't get swept up in that.
For sure. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Okay, so from, high-tech blood tests and all that, let's switch gears. Talk about a sector that's had its own, earthquake. Retail. Two names. I bet they bring back memories for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Sears, Toys R Us.
Oh, man, nostalgia overload.
Right. But both of them, they fell victim to the same stuff that was changing how we buy things, online shopping,
Yeah.
and just how people's habits changed. Let's start with Sears, the original catalog king. You could order anything from that thing. Clothes, appliances, houses, I think even. It's crazy. They were like the Amazon of their time.
It's the classic example, company doesn't change with the times. They had this huge thing built for, well, a different time. Huge stores, that whole catalog system. But online, they didn't really,
This is the boat.
yeah, pretty much. Amazon, they were building their whole thing online, and Sears was, well, they were stuck. Website was a mess. Shipping was slow. What they had just didn't compare.
They were in time warp or something. Didn't see what was happening.
Exactly. And that's another big lesson. You can't ignore the competition. Got to know what they're doing, how they're, keeping their customers happy. And you got to always find ways to be different, better.
And Sears, they just didn't adapt. Okay, Toys R Us. That one kind of stings a little.
Right.
Even if you haven't played with an action figure in a while. What went wrong there?
Well, those online stores, Amazon again, part of it for sure. Kids these days, click, click, click. Any toy you can imagine, next day it's there.
Convenience wins, right?
Totally. But Toys R Us, they had another problem. Debt. Billions of dollars from when the company was bought out.
For those of us who aren't finance people, what does that even mean?
Simple terms. They bought the company using borrowed money, a lot of it. Imagine a giant mortgage, but for a company. If it goes well, fine. But if it goes bad...
Which is what happened.
Yeah. Stuck with this mountain of debt. They couldn't invest, not in the things they needed to compete.
So they couldn't improve their online store, couldn't make the stores better, couldn't even really lower prices, all because of that debt.
That's it. Like trying to win a race with, I don't know, a weight tied to you.
Debt. That can really be the end, huh? Especially when everything's changing so fast. It's wild. These same things keep coming up. Debt, new technology shaking things up, companies not changing.
It's like, I don't know, a warning, but woven together, like a tapestry. Each thread is a way things can go wrong. And even the biggest companies, it can be over for them. But hey, that's the good part, right? We see the pattern, we can spot it in our own work, our industries, whatever.
Okay, so we looked at these companies, saw the warning signs, learned some stuff. But for the average person, right, someone who's not like running some huge company, how do they use this?
$1 million question. It's about, I think, being adaptable and always learning.
So not just being good at your job now, but like always looking ahead.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what skills, what will people need down the road? What industries are they going to change completely? How do I stay ahead of that? And never, ever underestimate who your network. More people more different viewpoints you hear, helps you spot the trends,
Like having your own advisors, all seeing things different ways.
That's it. And don't be scared to try stuff, even if it's new. Messing up, it happens, but you learn from it.
So failure is not the end. It's like part of learning.
100%.
Right.
The folks who've had the most success, they probably failed a bunch, but they came back stronger.
Man, so much to think about. It's really something how these business crashes, they teach us how to succeed, learn from their mistakes, right? So we can do better ourselves.
Exactly. Makes you wonder, who's the next Kodak, the next Blockbuster? The big names now that might be in trouble. Something to think about, right?